All right. Welcome to the Indie Corner. We're talking about all things. No, that's the wrong intro. Shit, I am tired. Welcome to the Indie Corner After Dark. We're talking about not only all things independent comics, but everything comics. I'm Mikey.
Hey, Matt.
I'm Rebecca.
Word. And today, people are back at again with episode 8 of Indie Corner After Dark, where we're going to be reviewing the Marvel special, the Marvel spooky special. I don't know what to call this. What, Marvel special presentation? I don't know. It's a little
Yeah.
short presentation that Marvel just dropped a few days ago of Werewolf by Night, which is being directed by, which is a shock. It stunned me. Composer Michael Giacchino. Is that how you say his last name? Giacchino? I don't know. It's
Good.
Italian. But so we're gonna just talk about that and give our thoughts on that. Thanks, Rebecca and Matt. Of course, I know Matt's very excited because a character that we never would have thought would be in the MCU that he adores is in this. And when we get to that section, he's probably gonna have a lot of stuff to say.
I have a lot of opinions.
Okay, gotcha. But yeah, we'll just get right into it, people. So yeah, so Rebecca, Matt, what are your first impressions of Werewolf by Night? Going into it.
Well, I was excited just from the trailer. I am a big fan of like the black and white, like Universal monster movies. So I was excited to see what Marvel would do with like an homage to that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, I loved it. It's goofy, but it's so much fun. Obviously I was super excited for this because of Man Thing, and we'll talk about Man Thing. We'll talk about Man Thing.
Yeah.
But he was the star of the show for me. And it was great and fun and good.
Gotcha. Well, for me, I forgot this was coming out. I mean, I feel like everyone did. Before D23, before D23. I knew it was in production, but I just didn't know when it was coming out. Like I had no idea because there's no one was really talking about it involving when they're in the production phase. All I knew was that Gael Garcia Bernal was casting it, and like that's about it. But yeah, when we covered that on the channel, me and Seamus, when we did the D23 stuff. I reacted to that trailer for the first time, and I was like, this looks so creative and so fun. Like especially because obviously if people who've watched our podcast in the past, we've been talking about how the MCU nowadays, especially like Phase 4, has been kind of not that interesting or not that like it's been more so like filler. Rebecca said it was like the filler era is what the Phase 4 is like. Like some of the projects have been kind of stale post Endgame.
You watch it's stuff you watch and then you never think about again.
Exactly. But when it comes to like some projects like this, it was just like it's creative. It has a style to it, which is makes it stand out. And it looked fun, like a lot of fun. And also I'm a kind of like a somewhat fan of the Universal monster movies. The only one that I've really watched were like Frankenstein, and which I watched for a class back when I was in school, and then the Wolfman. I love the Wolfman. So having this be like kind of an homage to that was really fun. And also Michael Giacchino. People don't know Michael Giacchino. He is like he's an Oscar nominated, like I think Oscar winning composer. He's done like the soundtrack for Up and then like Homecoming, and recently the score for the Batman, which is like the fucking best score ever. So
if you say so.
Come on now. I'm not even gonna go into it because you obviously know it's amazing. But having this be his directorial debut, I was like, okay, that's very interesting. And we all know when Kevin Feige gets a director, especially an unknown director, like he sees something in him. So I was wondering, was like, what makes this guy so special to be like go from composing scores to directing? So that was my intrigue going into it as well. And yeah, we'll talk about all this stuff. I really liked it. But yeah, those are my first impressions. But anyone else have anything else they want to say on?
I guess. Yeah, you know what? No, I don't. I don't.
But all right, so we'll just move on to what we liked. So I'll start this off, and I actually have a PowerPoint. I don't know why I literally spent time making this PowerPoint. I completely forgot I had it. But again, just to rehash, Michael Giacchino's directing. I really loved his directing in this. I was very impressed, and I'm actually really want to see more directing projects from him on the directing side. There's some really amazing shots in here, especially because obviously people who don't know, because it's filmed in black and white.
Well, no, that's not entirely correct.
Well, I would assume it's color graded in black and white in post, but it was probably filmed in color. I would
from what I read, it was filmed in color, but they had another monitor off to the side showing what it would look like in black and white because they weren't sure if they were going to get approval to show it in black and white.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that, but yeah, but there are really a lot of really interesting shots in here. One of my favorite shots in the special is the scene where we first see Jack Russell change, but we don't see him change. We just see his shadow change while Elsa's reacting. I was like, that's really fucking creative, and I was like, that's such a cool. That's one of my favorite moments in the special for sure. Also the fact that what's it called? The Bloodstone and all that stuff is really cool. Here's the thing, right? I like the supernatural world in terms of Marvel. I'm not really familiar with a lot of it. I've heard of the Bloodstone. I'm not really sure what it does. I've heard of like Ulysses Bloodstone and obviously the Bloodstone family, but like seeing it actually being like it's a fucking stone that like, you know, that deals with monsters. I was like, okay, like Marvel's getting into the haminess and like the wackiness of this side of the Marvel universe. And I was like, okay, that's dope.
Yeah, I love it.
Also, these special presentations this is like the first of Marvel series of special presentations. I remember saying this once, like Shang-Chi was out, because that's when they released the All Hail the King one shot that they did back in the day after Iron Man 3. This is basically just a one shot, but just a little bit longer. Which I'm just like, yeah, like I liked all those one shots they did back in like phase 1 and phase 2. And I'm happy that they're this is kind of the evolution of these one shots to like shorter stories that are expanding the Marvel universe in a way. So yeah, that's what I'll start off with what I liked, but I'll leave it up to you guys, whoever wants to chime in.
Yeah, I agree. I liked Giacchino. I already forgot his name.
Yeah, Michael Giacchino. Yeah, let's call him that.
I think I enjoyed this more than I've enjoyed any of his soundtracks.
Okay.
And I also really liked the idea of this like monster hunt competition. I thought that was a lot of fun. I was watching it with Taylor, and when that started, she goes, "Oh boy, I love the Hunger Games," which like yeah, it kind of is, but I really really enjoyed it. And then of course, I loved Elsa, and I loved the guy from Coco, and and Man Thing stole the show. So that's what I liked.
Yeah, for me, it's hard to say what I liked because I liked so much of it. Like when we talk about the next section, I really don't have any like problems with the special in general. Like I could like nitpick here or there. Yeah. But overall, I was pretty happy with it. I like it when films try and do black and white nowadays because I remember back like when I was younger, I'd have friends who would tell me like, "Oh, I could never watch a black and white movie." Which I always thought was kind of weird, but maybe I'm just like a pretentious like film person. I don't know, but I think there's something interesting about that in like the old style movies. Like one thing I liked about this is they did do a lot of practical effects, like the Wolfman design or werewolf, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, that's practical. Yeah, Man Thing. They had a suit and an animatronic head. They CG'd over it. I don't know. Especially in black and white, it's hard to tell how much of that is CG versus like practical and the moving of like the face and everything like that. Like some scenes, it just looked completely CG to me, and I couldn't really tell. Yeah. But I wasn't on set, so I don't know. But I thought the effects for the most part were pretty good. And I think. Sorry, just to finish off real quick, because like I said, I pretty much liked it all. I liked Jack Russell, which it's a dumb comics name, but you know, it's funny. I liked his character. I liked that he was like nice and like compassionate. I liked Elsa, even though she doesn't really have too much character outside like the premise of her character, if that makes sense. But I enjoyed her. The other characters were there, but they weren't like bad or anything, you know?
Yeah. I'll also add on to that in terms of like the effects. I love, that's why I put it on the slide of like the shot of like the Wolfman from the 1941 movie. I love the fact that they used practical effects for the Wolfman. They try to use practical effects as much as they could, which is like great. Because these day and age, like everything is used everything in terms of movies, especially the Marvel films and DC films. They use heavily use a lot of CGI and VFX. I miss practical effects so much in films these days. So the fact that they had the Wolfman be practical and it looked really good, I was like, this is, and they obviously they tweaked some stuff in post, which is like what I would expect you to do when you're doing practical effects to make it look into it to enhance the to enhance the look. But yeah, I love the fact that like they made Jack Russell in his werewolf form practical. The fact that like Man Thing, Man Thing was so good in this. I was wondering if they'd use practical effects, which when me and Rebecca, when me and you talked a few days ago about it, that they used a mix of practical and CGI, which was expected, but
it looked really good, especially in that final scene when it's in color. It looked fantastic.
It looked so good.
I thought it looked incredible, and like I know it's not a fair comparison, and I know about the controversy and everything, but compare Man Thing to She-Hulk, and like it's night and day.
Yeah,
Matt, how does it compare to the like 2005 Man Thing movie or whatever?
I sure have not watched that. I have not watched that movie.
I've seen this before. You've never seen it.
No, I've seen some clips. Apparently, Man Thing's not even in it that much. I've seen some clips, and from what I've seen, he looks terrible.
He looks nothing like Man Thing, which is like not difficult to get right. Like I don't know. Like, but I thought that and also it fed with the nostalgia of like back in the day when they used to make all these monsters practically. I thought it really enhanced that homage for me. But
I also think it's interesting with werewolves too to see how much wolf versus human they put into the design.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think that's something I appreciated about this, because I really kind of expected them to go more more wolfish, more grittier, and instead he looks like Werewolf by Night,
Yeah.
He looks like this goofy comic character from the 70s?
Yeah, from like the 70s,
whatever.
60s, 70s. Like I agree with that, because like they did a Werewolf by Night comic somewhat recent. I think it was like last year. I could be wrong. But like that Werewolf by Night was more like a hulkish werewolf, like more wolf type of like figure. And like I was happy. They could have easily have done that. They could have made him like a more like a hulking werewolf, more of like the more modern interpretation of like the werewolf. But I like how like they took it, had it more like a mix of like a balance of human and wolf in this one. And it's just and which is what the character in the comics looks like. And when we talk about the characters more in depth, there are slides that I have of like showing what they look like in the comics. But yeah, man, I thought this was so good. It was just so fun. I liked how fun it was. I like how also, especially how violent it was. I didn't expect Marvel to have people's like arms get chopped off and have an arrowhead go through someone's fucking face. Like I didn't expect that, which makes sense, because a lot of, in order to get away with violence like that, you can use. That's why I was in black and white, because you can get away with violence and gore that way. In terms of like how it's rated. But I loved how violent it was. I think it's like when I was watching, I was like, where was this in Moon Knight? Where was this? Like they could have easily done this with Moon Knight, and people still would have watched it, like in terms of like upping the ante in terms of like the violence. But
I wouldn't have. I mean, I still haven't. Like even without the violence, I still haven't seen Moon Knight.
That's fair. It's Moon Knight is not as violent. It's they say it's one of the darker MCU stories, but in reality, it wasn't. Not really.
I feel like over time, Mikey's opinion has only gotten worse on Moon Knight.
Yeah, because
isn't there a talking hippo on that show? How dark can it possibly be?
That's what I'm saying. But yeah, I did appreciate the like this is a supernatural character. They're upping the ante in terms of the matureness of it, which I really enjoyed. Which I expect from this side of the Marvel universe. So yeah, I'm good for now. Probably stuff will pop up when we talk more. But does anyone else want to talk about what they liked with Werewolf by Night? Okay, that makes sense. But yeah, so we'll talk about what we didn't like. Which again, I don't really have much to say on it because I liked a lot of it. Yeah, do you have anything on like any like thing you talk about what you didn't like? Maybe some nitpicks.
I'll say this. I won't bring up my nitpicks too much because they're more just stuff like, if I was in charge, I would have done.
Mm-hmm.
But the one thing, and again, I didn't really have a problem with this. It's just something I noticed. I think the action in this, it wasn't bad, but I don't know if this was intentional or not. It's a little cheesy. Especially like, in some of those shots, you can see that punches aren't like connecting and stuff like that. Like I said, I don't know if that's intentional or not. And the one part that did make me laugh a little bit is in that scene where like the door is closing and he's like beating up the guards.
Yeah.
Instead of like just pouncing on him, he like jumps off a wall to attack him. That one made me laugh a little bit.
I love that. It's goofy. It's so goofy.
Yeah, it's very goofy.
That's the thing, is that like a lot of the problems with the movie I think are so charming. So
yeah, they're not really problems. It's just something I noticed. I think if they slowed the action down like just a little bit, it would have been a little more clear what was going on. But I overall, that's not like a major problem for me. That's not ruining the special or anything.
Like if I have one major nitpick to stand out in my brain, there was that scene where Big Mean Man smashes Elsa's head like 4 times into this like concrete wall, and it looks super violent, and he's fine.
But
that's who cares though? Really though, who cares? Like you said earlier, Elsa could have been more strongly characterized and more delved into. But it's also not like really about her. Except it is entirely about her, but whatever.
This is a 50-minute special. We don't have the time for characters outside of like surface level.
And I feel like that's gonna be a lot of people's complaints, like, where's the character development? But like, we didn't get enough time with these characters. It's a special. It's not like we got a full fucking movie.
And that's fine. I'm not gonna complain about that like I would with something that has like 6 to 8 episodes.
Yeah. And I don't know, we got to learn an awful lot. Well, I wouldn't say an awful lot, but everything we needed to about Jack. That was he was about him. The thing's named after him. So I don't know. I want to see more. I want to see more.
Turns into a werewolf. What more do you need to know?
Well, right. Exactly.
I don't really have much to say on what I didn't like. I did say like there's some of the action was a little weak. Especially like in terms of Elsa's scenes where I thought were fine, but I also did notice the fact that like some of the punches weren't connecting. But like again, I didn't really mind it. I thought it was okay. That added to like the charm of it.
I want to know if that was like a mistake or if they meant to do that though.
Yeah.
Because if you watch like old monster movies, none of those are connecting anyway.
I will say this though, at the end, I don't know how I felt about it like transitioning in color. I kind of just liked it just black and white just for that entire special. I don't know.
I loved that for a very particular reason. We'll talk about when we get to Man-Thing.
Yeah. But I don't know. It's just like I was like, like they're just doing colors just for funsies. All right, I would have just committed to black and white fully, but that's just me if I was making this or whatever. But that's. I don't really have anything else to say. Maybe I would have liked more stuff, more background on some of the more like some of the monsters and all that. But like obviously, again, it wasn't really about that, so I can't really say.
One thing I did think, and again, this is very nitpicky, not anything like serious. I feel like they should have had like 1 or 2 more lines just before the like hunt, just explaining like, we don't know what this monster is. We just call it like the Man-Thing or whatever, and that it like hurts people through fear. I feel like that would have just added like a little more like context to what he's doing.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's a monster killing people. So
that's true.
If you're not already familiar with Man-Thing's powers, I don't think you fully understand what he's doing, other than burning people. Which ultimately, I'm gonna be honest, is all you need to know.
Yeah.
But I agree. I think it would have added a lot. And I'm almost positive they didn't call him Man-Thing because it's the haha funny penis joke. But like,
it's
cowardly is what I think.
Yeah, but I would have personally liked some more explanation on like, hey, like this is what this monster is on especially on like that scene where we get to we see the what's it called, all the stuffed monster heads. I would have liked to see some of like what these monsters were, just to get some more background and some like a little bit of world building. But obviously, it wasn't really about that, so it's okay. But yeah, so as anyone else wants, well, we'll just move on to characters then, because that's more of what we liked anyway, and we're gonna go through it. But yeah, so to talk about characters real quick. So the first character that we are gonna talk about is obviously the main character, which is Jack Russell, played by Gael Garcia Bernal. Here's the thing. I've only seen Gael Garcia Bernal in one thing, which was Old, that M. Night Shyamalan film that came out last year or 2 years ago. Which I thought he was great in. I like that. Yeah, the one that the forgettable one.
You said Old. I thought you meant like the movie was old, not that it was the movie Old.
No, the film Old.
Oh,
titled Old by M. Night Shyamalan. He played the father of that family in that movie. Which I thought he was good in. I thought he was really good in.
Have you not seen Coco? Did Diego not make you watch Coco?
No, of course he did. He made me watch Coco in Spanish.
He made us all watch Coco.
Yeah,
okay, that's two Coco. Then. That's
Wait,
two.
Who did he play? Who did he play in Coco?
He plays Hector, I think, the dead guy.
The dead guy that's like his grandfather, like that was revealed to be his grandfather. Oh wow! Oh shit! Yeah, he was good in that. I liked him.
He's great in that.
Yeah,
he's also in like Mozart in the Park or something. It's something like that. I watched the first scene with my mom, and he's super good in that.
But either way, from watching, I guess Coco, but because I guess Coco and Old, I was like, this guy's a pretty good actor. So I was really looking forward to seeing more of him in this. I love Jack in this. I thought Jack. I like the fact that he took the aspect of like, hey, we have Jack being a werewolf in a room filled with bloodthirsty monster hunters, and they're always talking about these monster hunters are talking about, oh, like we want to do we kill for peace and all that. But the fact that like the monster was more human than the actual humans throughout the whole special, that was very interesting and made Jack very lovable, I thought, and especially like those little moments where he's trapped in that mausoleum with Elsa Bloodstone, and he's so persistent on making sure that she's okay. I thought that was like, that's really sweet. And also his relationship with Man-Thing, I was like, oh, look at that. Because even though kind of like the plot kind of spoke for itself, I didn't really realize that like, oh yeah, he's going to go in there to rescue Man-Thing. Like that's his mission. I just thought that like,
I love that.
The way this is set up, you think that they know he's the werewolf and he's supposed to be the monster, and it's like, nope, it's Man-Thing.
No, it's actually Man-Thing, and that the fact that like him and Man-Thing are like friends, I was like, oh, look at that! I was like, that's so nice, and like I liked their relationship with their relationship in the special, and it makes sense, like they're monsters, so like it makes sense to like, yeah, some of these notable monsters in the MCU would know each other, so I like that. Again, obviously seeing him transform into a werewolf, I love that scene so much. Love the practical effects with that. I took this picture. This is my favorite shot in the whole fucking, like, it's one of my favorite shots with him where like it's like mostly shadow and his eyes glow, which makes sense because a dog's eyes always glow when it's caught in light, which I think is so cool. But yeah, and he looks, as I said, you can look at the picture, he looks like the character in the comic. So like, yeah. I don't want people tearing me. I'm gonna probably hear this on Sunday when we talk about Werewolf by Night on Zion, but like they're probably gonna talk about how shitty he looks. But I'm like, guys, he looks just as shitty in the comic. Like it doesn't matter. Yeah, no, I thought Gael did a good job, and I'm really looking forward to seeing more of him in the MCU. And so yeah, what are your thoughts on Gael's performance? Anything else with the character you want to mention?
I loved him. Like I'm not a Werewolf by Night fan. I think like in the comics, Jack Russell is. I only really know him through Man-Thing, and I think Jack Russell's a lame name, and like Taylor's a fan, but I don't really get it. In this special, I thought he was so charming, and a lot of that is because of Bernal's performance. He's so immediately likable from his very first scene and through the entire movie. And I thought he was spectacular. If I didn't love Man-Thing so much, he would have been my favorite part of the movie. Can I call it a movie? Like special short film?
Short film.
It was probably.
Yeah, short film is probably the better way to say it. I totally forgot that Taylor's a Werewolf by Night fan. That's so weird.
Yeah, I feel like Werewolf by Night is like one of those guys where when he shows up, I'm like, oh, it's Werewolf by Night, but like I don't go seeking him out and stuff, you know?
Yeah. Right, exactly.
And the thing is, like, I'll say this: the only reason why I know Werewolf by Night is because I'm a Moon Knight fan, and Werewolf and Moon Knight showed up in Werewolf by Night. So, like, I don't. Yeah. I that's the only connection I have with that character in terms of because Moon Knight, and yeah. Rebecca, were you saying you want to add anything to the Jack Russell character?
I don't think I really have anything to say about him that I haven't already said. I liked him. I liked that he was nice. I thought the performance was good. Yeah, like I said, not too deep characterization, so I can't really go in depth on anything.
I really hope that Marvel, like, if we see more of him, they expand more on his character, because I really thought, because they mentioned like the whole makeup thing with him, like on his face, to honor his ancestors. But I'm just like, what's the context with that? I kind of want to see more with that. They planted some good seeds there, but like I'm really looking forward to seeing more with the character. I also want to know if there are other werewolves out there besides him in the future. I would assume so, but who knows? I don't really know if
Werewolf. I wouldn't plan on getting anything else Werewolf by Night for a while, if ever.
Yeah. I don't know.
I'm hoping for honestly I'm hoping for Midnight Suns.
I mean, I've been saying Midnight Suns ever since Phase 4 fucking started. So
you gotta get your Blade movie out first.
Yeah, I gotta get my Blade movie out first if they don't fuck it up. But yeah, no, I again, finishing final thoughts on it. Gael Garcia Bernal did a great job. Very lovable, very charming. What Matt said, very charming. I really am looking forward to seeing more whenever we get more of him, for sure. But yeah, I don't have anything else to say. Do y'all have anything to say on Jack Russell? Also, just real quick, I don't think that I doubt that they're gonna make his name Jack Russell. They never said his last name. So like, and apparently when I looked up the character, his name was originally Jack like Russoff or like Russoff or whatever, and he changed it to Jack Russell. I guess I don't know. Because I guess the character doesn't really originate in America. He originates somewhere else. So I don't know.
I fully expect him to be Jack Russell, and I'll be very disappointed if he's not.
Okay, gotcha.
If you're gonna commit to Werewolf by Night, you got to do the stupid name.
Gotcha. Rebecca, were you gonna say something? I feel like I cut you off.
No, you're good.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so the next character we're going to talk about is the leading lady, Elsa Bloodstone, played by Laura Donnelly. I was unfamiliar with this actress. I'd never heard of Laura Donnelly before this. I'm gonna look up her filmography just real quick, but just to start off, I liked Elsa in this. I liked Elsa. I mostly know her from her meetups with Blade in the comics. But all I really know much about her is that, like, yeah, she comes from a family of monster hunters. I've heard of Ulysses Bloodstone before, because I feel like he had his own comic series way back in the day. Yeah, I thought she was really cool. I feel like, because I feel like we get that type of like character archetype a lot, where it's just like, the child, the rebellious daughter, or like the rebellious son that like comes back to like claim their birthright or whatever. That was pretty much her character in this. I really wanted to see a bit more of her that made her stand out, but I thought Laura Donnelly did a good job. I thought she had some very snarky moments, throughout the special. Especially like my favorite scene with her is when she's in the mausoleum and she figures out, oh, I have an aunt that has a key to this mausoleum, so we can lock the door, and she just blatantly just ruins her aunt's remains. I thought it was like hilarious. The stuff her and thing is like they don't really do much about explaining like why she's so motivated to come back and to get the Bloodstone. She's basically like, okay, I need to have the Bloodstone. That's it. To I guess despite her dad or whatever. But
yeah, I was gonna say, I feel like it's more to like, since it's like her birthright or whatever, and her family doesn't like her, it's more to like prove a point that it's hers,
Yeah. But I thought she was good. I thought she did a solid job. But also, I was watching an interview that beyond the trailer, she interviewed her for her channel, and she talked about how, like, because Elsa Bloodstone in the comics is like a cold-blooded badass, like very hardcore, and Laura Donnelly made a really good point where it's just like, yeah, like, even though I want to get to that point of the character throughout my time in the MCU, this version of Elsa Bloodstone isn't that badass yet. She's gonna have to go through stuff to get there, which I was like, okay, I really appreciated that. So yeah. And she was pretty badass in this for the most part. I mean, she killed like 3 people.
Well, I feel like if they made her too powerful, you just get more of the same people complaining about her online.
Exactly. Yeah.
But I thought for what she was cool. I like that she was a little bit of a bitch.
Yeah.
But like not in a bad way, you know.
Yeah, there was that one joke where like I think one of the hunters was like, oh, like, where's her right to the Bloodstone? It's like, oh, have you checked up your own ass? I love that. I love that little moment. But yeah, no, I thought Elsa was really cool. And I'm again same with Garcia Bernal. I really look forward to seeing her evolution as Elsa in the MCU, so we can get from that photo from the show to like that one, like with the guns and stuff later on. And I would love to see her interact with Blade in the future.
Absolutely.
That would be so fucking, because I like their interactions in the comics. So, Matt, were you gonna say something?
I don't have that much more to say about her. I thought I'm mostly excited to see what, I guess, if anything, they do with her going forward, because I think Elsa, I am much more familiar with her in the comics than I am with Werewolf by Night, and I think she's awesome.
Yeah, she's really cool.
She's a badass. Elsa's really cool, and so I'm really excited to see more of her. I thought she was great. Yeah, that's really it.
Matt, if you maybe might know more than me, wasn't she on some sort of? It was like a non-supernatural team in the MCU. I don't know if it wasn't the Thunderbolts. It was something else. Yeah,
she was on like Next Wave.
Next Wave. That's what it was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I don't really know much about Next Wave. I don't know. I hope I don't really know.
I think that's just like a C-listers team or something. I don't know.
Apparently that book is really good. I've never read it.
Oh, do you have any idea who wrote it? That run?
Okay. Oh, I did once upon a time.
Okay,
I don't remember.
Yeah.
But yeah, but it's really good. So I hear.
Yeah. Again, I and also just to add on to like the old Bloodstone stuff, I wish, I don't know, I would have liked to see like a little like a 30-second like flashback of Ulysses in his prime using the Bloodstone, because he was a very prominent character in Marvel Comics for years, like way before Elsa showed up. So I don't know. But seeing him as a corpse, a talking corpse, was hilarious.
That's good.
It was just, and it added to that like Universal Monsters like camp. I loved that so much, and the fact that he did it as a gag was just like hilarious.
It was great. I love how it seemed, at least to me, that a lot of the, I guess, hunters, whatever, present seemed kind of disgusted by it. Like it's very goofy and also played straight, and I think it's just very funny.
Yeah. For sure. And also, yeah, I looked her up real quick. Yeah, she also has siblings. So she has a brother and a half sister, that share the last name Bloodstone, and they're not mentioned here. So I guess Kevin Feige is just scrapping them for now.
But I don't really matter very much.
They don't really matter.
I don't think. I could be wrong, but I don't think so.
Already.
Yeah. I'm trying to look up exactly what the Bloodstone actually does, like in the comics. Well, the Blood Gem, my fault.
Who cares? I'll talk about Man-Thing.
Okay, fine. Who cares? But yeah, I don't got nothing to say. I thought she was good, and I'm looking forward to seeing her evolution in the MCU for sure.
Yeah.
All right, Matt. You want to be fucking impatient? Okay, right ahead.
I don't want to sit here and look what the Bloodstone does. Who cares, really?
All right.
Wait, I have a question for Matt before we start.
Okay.
I want to know. Well, two things. How did you learn about Man-Thing, and why do you?
That's true. I've never talked about that with you. We never discussed how you got into Man-Thing in the first place, which is strange to me because no one likes Man. Well, no one. You're like the only Man-Thing fan I know. So
yeah, there's probably not too many other Man-Thing real diehard Man-Thing fans, because why would you ever be a Man-Thing fan?
Yeah.
I was introduced to Man-Thing through both Spider-Man and the X-Men. When I was younger, I had the Essential collections. Marvel put out these black and white collections of older comics, and I would get those for holidays and my birthday or whatnot. My aunt loved to give me these, and in both a Spectacular Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man, it doesn't matter. In a Spider-Man collection and an X-Men one, Man-Thing showed up. This goon Man-Thing, and I just thought he was funny. And kind of left it at that. Johnny, for some reason, my brother, for people don't have context, I guess, really latched on to him for some reason. And for a while, he was a much bigger Man-Thing fan than I was. I just thought he was this funny swamp guy that showed up in my X-Men books, and and so I would like make jokes about Man-Thing. Not so much the haha funny penis joke because I don't think it's funny. But I just because it's obscure, and I think that's hilarious. And at some point, I was like, man, maybe I should actually read some Man-Thing, and I fell in love with him. I think
you got too committed to the bit.
I got in way too deep, and now I love this guy. What do I like about him? He's first of all, he looks like this. He looks so his design is so distinct. There's no other swamp monster like Man-Thing. He got those trunks. A lot of it comes down to the trunks. I love the trunks. But also he's a very interesting type of character because he can't speak and he doesn't have any personality, which is something they do differently in this, and we'll talk about that a little bit, I'm sure. He is very passive. He can only react to other people's emotions, and that makes for some really fascinating stories. It also makes for some extremely terrible stories because that's really hard to write.
Yeah.
It's really hard to write a main character who is a blank slate and reacts to things around him. But some of the best Man-Thing stories are just wild. He's such a fascinating character. Yeah. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Okay, that's interesting. Here's the thing, right? I've always heard about Man-Thing throughout like my time reading Marvel comics briefly. And also I heard about that trashy movie when I was like a kid. Other than that, I never really read any Man-Thing comics. I think I've read a comic with him in it before. And I've seen videos. Luckily we have a guy named Rob who does Comics Explain talk about Man-Thing once or twice. So I've watched a video or two about him. Yeah, I'm not saying Man-Thing. I'm a Man-Thing fan because I'm a Swamp Thing fan. So it's
you pit kings against each other.
Yeah.
But yeah, Matt, do you want to go into what Man-Thing does in the comics because we mentioned earlier that like people may be confused on what Man-Thing actually does because when you see him in the show in the special, he burns someone alive.
Right.
And from what I know about Man-Thing, it's because of if you feel fear around Man-Thing, that gives him permission to burn you alive. Can you go into that, please?
He is entirely he's an empath. Which I usually super don't like empathic characters. Like I think Mantis sucks. But he also we talk about his powers. He can sense the emotions of people around him, and he is attracted to positive emotions and repelled or frustrated or whatever by negative emotions. And what exactly that means can vary from writer to writer, but he in particular doesn't like fear because when he was a human, when he was Ted Sallis, he died and became Man-Thing while terribly, terribly afraid. He was fleeing for his life. He fell into a swamp, and a mixture of the nexus of all reality, which don't worry about, and the serum he made turned him into the Man-Thing. Man-Thing is not Ted Sallis. He is in this. We'll talk about that when we'll talk about that. But basically, because he is so repelled by fear, because he is birthed from fear, when he touches somebody who is afraid, they burn. He can't control it. He has control. He has hurt people that he didn't mean to many times. It's part of the tragedy of the Man-Thing.
Jesus.
But yeah, if you are afraid, he will burn you. And it's cool. It's really cool.
Okay, gotcha.
That's what he did with he did I think 2 people in this one, right?
Yeah, he grabbed the Scottish guy, the Scottish hunter, and then the I forget her name was like Verna. I think it's Elsa's stepmother, the bitchy one.
Yeah, and they burn, and I really liked how the burning effect looked.
It looked really good.
Yeah.
I was like, wow,
super cool. Yeah. And then he's also like a doorway to other universes because connected to the nexus of all reality and he hangs out with a wizard sometimes. But those are his powers. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Well, now to talk about Man-Thing. Ted, if you want to call him Ted, I liked him a lot. I'm not even a Man-Thing fan, and I was like, I was very excited to see him in this because he looks like Man-Thing. Because I've seen briefly that shitty movie, and he doesn't look like Man-Thing at all. And he's not a hard character to get right. Okay, he looked great. And especially because when you see him in black and white and then transition to color, he looks even better in color. I was very surprised how good he looked. I love, again, he has a personality to him, which I thought was great. I loved how he bounced off of Jack Russell a lot, their friendship. You can feel that, even though they do it in a very brief amount of time. I love the way he looked, love the way he stomped around. And also his interaction with Elsa, that was really funny. Because the fact that they had the running joke, obviously every MCU product has to have a running joke. The fact that this huge ass swamp monster is named Ted is just like, I thought that was really fun.
I feel like they're gonna try and push him as a marketable plushie or something like that now, which I'm sure Matt won't complain.
They're gonna baby Yoda him. They're gonna baby Yoda him.
Dude, please. I am totally okay with that. That means I get Man-Thing merch. Are you kidding me? Please, but turn this guy into Baby Yoda. Make him the babyest Yoda. I don't care. I want my Man-Thing merch. Yeah, I've got Man-Thing. If I want Man-Thing, I can go read my Man-Thing. You know, I'm totally merchandise this guy to death. I'm totally cool with that.
Make this man Rebecca. Make this man a custom Man-Thing hoodie, please.
I want a Man-Thing.
If you send me what you want, I will make you a custom hoodie.
Are you for real?
That's
awesome. Yeah, no, but you gotta sew the trunks onto the hoodie.
I don't know how that would work.
You have to figure it out. You have a degree. It's
in art.
I thought he was fun, and then also the fact that, to add more about the Bloodstone stuff, the fact that he was weakened by the Bloodstone. The thing is, is Man-Thing a conventional monster? I feel like, is he, because you said he had a serum and we haven't established in the MCU, but he's part of the next level of reality, so he is a supernatural character, technically. I don't really know if that...
Mikey, look at him. Does that not look like a monster to you?
Could be I don't know. There have been mutants that have looked as ugly. So
he's a monster. He's a straight up monster.
Okay, gosh. So it makes sense for the Bloodstone to weaken him and all that stuff. Okay, fair.
Yeah.
I liked him. I liked him. But also to shout out to Seamus, because when we talked about Werewolf by Night for when we react to the trailer for the D23 podcast, we talked about it at the end of it, and I have a clip of it actually in the channel. How the fuck did Man-Thing get into Sakaar in Thor Ragnarok? We want to know. They better fucking explain that. Because
oh my god, who cares? It's like the second Infinity Gauntlet in Odin's vault. Remember when people talked about that? Who cares? It was an Easter egg. They weren't planning on doing Thanos at the time. They weren't planning on doing Man-Thing at the time. It's not that deep. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah. Okay.
Sorry, that gets on my nerves a little bit.
Okay. I can tell.
I used to argue people about the Infinity Gauntlet all the fucking time. They're like, why was it in Odin's vault? It doesn't matter. It was an Easter egg. Why? Whatever.
And then
it's all connected, Matt. Every shot, every single prop, it all has a place.
But then they kind of
MCU fans gotta chill.
And then they rebuked it. They rebuked it when Hello literally knocked it over and was fake. It's fine. It doesn't matter. But
whatever.
I thought that'd be hilarious if they just... I just want to know I want to know if he fought on Sakaar for a little bit. That'd be hilarious if that's true.
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
In this particular instance, I wouldn't mind if they expanded on that, just because that would mean that Man-Thing fought on Sakaar, and he got there, I would assume, through the Nexus of All Realities, which means we're really getting into deep Man-Thing shit. So super give me that. But also as an Easter egg, who cares?
Yeah, but I think it'd be funny and also that they could explain the Nexus that way if they wanted to. Be hey, they allowed him to go into Sakaar for a little bit and fight in a gladiator matches. That's fun. But that's something I wanted to add. Rebecca, do you have anything to say on Man-Thing?
No, I liked him. Like I said, I was kind of waiting to see what Matt had to say about him, since he's a little more has a personality in this versus the comics,
Yes.
And do that, please, because I'm actually curious on why. I didn't know that he didn't have a personality in the comics. So,
yes, I did love Man-Thing in this, but he's a different character, and I kind of expected that. I'm kind of okay with that. In the comics, Man-Thing does not have a personality. He doesn't have thoughts. He has vague feelings, and sometimes
pure vibes.
What?
Pure vibes.
Exactly. Man-Thing works entirely on vibes, and so he can't communicate at all. Ted in the short film can talk like Chewbacca basically. And I'm fine with that. It's not the same, but I understand why the change was made, and it definitely makes him a more appealing character. Um, which I'm totally fine with. He wasn't talking the way he was in the R.L. Stine book. In R.L. Stine,
yeah,
right. Well, exactly.
Yeah.
R.L. Stine wrote a Man-Thing book in 2015 or 2016 in which he talked and he made extremely terrible quips, and it was just bad. Like, it was a bad book on top of being a bad Man-Thing book. And so, as long as Man-Thing in the MCU isn't out here speaking full sentences in English, like, I'm fine. I'm totally fine with
full ass sentences. Okay.
yeah. I'm totally fine with the Chewbaccaization of Man-Thing.
Are you worried that like Marvel, like Kevin Feige and like Marvel Studios are gonna turn him into like another Groot, basically, like in terms of like that type of like personality and all that stuff, or no?
I'm fine with that. Okay. I'm fine with that. I mean, he looks.
That wants his plushie.
Exactly.
Okay.
He looks like Man-Thing. He does Man-Thing. He does Man-Thing stuff. If they want to give him a personality so they can make their Marvel jokes, that's fine. Especially if that makes him cute and appealing, so they can make my Man-Thing plushies. Yeah, go for it. Groot, remember Groot's? I mean, I don't think he's not nearly as popular as he used to be. But like when Guardians first came out, man, people were dying for Groot. I would love for Man-Thing to be the next Groot.
That is true. All right, cool.
Wait till we get to Boy Thing.
Oh, dude, Boy Thing's so cute. Boy Thing is the only good part of that book.
That's how me and Matt bond. We bond about about Blade and Boy Thing's relationship in the comics.
Yes, it's so cute. It's so fun.
But yeah, also the actor here, his name's Carey Jones. I would assume he just did like the groans and all that. I mean, he did a good job of conveying personality with just with groaning.
Was that the suit actor?
I would assume so, maybe. I just checked IMDb, and that's what came up. So
I was nervous. I do want to say during the black and white section, I was a little bit nervous about his eyes because he seemed to have some sort of pupils. And
I didn't know if his pupils or if his eyes just look glassy to me. Know what I mean? Like
I'm not entirely sure what it was, but that's why part of the reason why I appreciate the transition to color, because I thought seeing Man-Thing in color looked so good. He was incredible, and he had his red eyes. Man-Thing's eyes, I think, are just a cool part of his design, and I'm glad that they captured him perfectly. He looks incredible.
He looks incredible. He does.
He looks better than I hoped. He looks far better than I hoped.
Okay,
so yeah, he was the best part of the entire thing for me. I've since gone back and watched just the Man-Thing scenes. Rebecca shared a video in our group chat, and I've watched that 2 or 3 times now. Like I'm so I love it. I'm so excited. I cannot wait to see more of him.
All right. Okay, this is the last question I'm gonna ask you about Man-Thing. Do you know which came out first, Man-Thing or Swamp Thing?
Man-Thing.
Oh, Man-Thing did. Okay.
Yes. Okay. It's controversial. It was only a few months. Swamp Thing is probably not a rip of Man-Thing, but also Swamp Thing was created. Oh man, I'm gonna get the creators mixed up. They were roommates.
Oh, okay.
And so there's a whole conspiracy thing. I don't really buy into it. But
I feel like they're different enough that they're just like swamp creatures, but personality-wise, completely
different. But their origins are
their
origins are kind of the same. Like they're scientists that got into accidents and then went into a swamp and then changed. Like it's just you know.
Their origins are very similar, but beyond that, they're totally different. The Swamp Thing's got his whole thing with the green, and he can talk.
The green and all that. Yeah.
I don't know much about Swamp Thing. All I know about Swamp Thing I just said right now. But it's clearly very different than Man-Thing, who is well, I've talked about him for so long, you know who he is at this point.
Yeah, of course. All right, so I mean that's anyway. I know Matt doesn't have anything else to say. I mean he probably does, but I mean I'm just gonna have to cut him off now.
I do, but I shouldn't.
Okay. Do you have anything else you want to say, Rebecca, on Man-Thing or anything like that?
No, I think I'm good.
I liked him a lot, and
his relationship with Werewolf by Night was so cute.
It's so cute.
like their back and forth was so much fun. I love that scene where he first went to and talked to him in the bushes, and he's like, "I'm coming back for you," and it was delightful. It was delightful.
I'll pitch this to you. What if like I just want to see Matthew interact with everyone. I don't know why. I just want to like I would love to see like Kamala Khan react to this man. Like
yeah,
that'd be so fun.
That'd be wonderful. Yeah. I would love that. Yeah, I think I cannot wait to see where Man-Thing shows up next. I hope he does. I hope there's lots to see of him. I want Man-Thing and everything.
Gotcha. No, for sure. All right, so just to move on, I just added these kind of last minute, but theories, I guess we'll do theories, Easter eggs, I don't know, theories. But so they kind of basically just revealed that like, hey, monsters exist in the MCU. And like the only I think it's like I didn't really know what to make of most of these, even though the one on the looks a lot like Wendigo. But I found like an article, and I'll just go through like all the monsters that people suspect are in the MCU so far from what we got from that montage in the beginning of the narration. But so werewolves, obviously, because they have Werewolf by Night. Vampires, which is the one here on the left. Clearly is like a vampire type of figure. And also
there's a Blade movie coming. We know vampires.
Yeah, there's a vampire, and also there's apparently that vampire in She-Hulk, who I don't really think is a vampire because he was in the sunlight. So
no, I have no idea what you're talking about, but we'll save that for She-Hulk.
Exactly. Let's see. Wendigo and Sasquatches, which is there was a Sasquatch head on one of the walls, and also like this character here, the Wendigo on the left, on the right. So there's that. Let's see. Man-Thing, obviously. Mermaids, which I guess that it was like that looked like that fish lady with like the conjoined heads. That was apparently a mermaid, or a version of a mermaid in this. Let's see from what else. Demons. Yeah, I mean we have Doctor Strange kind of confirm that. Reptilian ones. There was a reptilian head on the mantle as well. Gremlins, which is a gremlin looking type monster on the wall as well, and like that's pretty much it. That's all the monsters that at least Screen Rant suspects is in the MCU. What are your thoughts on monsters in the MCU just in general, especially because it's a stark contrast from what we've got in the MCU so far? So,
I mean, I don't really think it's that different considering like they fought aliens, they fought like whatever is in like Doctor Strange and Eternals and all that. I don't think it's that far-fetched to say like monsters are here too. Like I love monster movies, so I'm not complaining if we get more monster movies.
Yeah, that's true. For sure. I mean, I would love to see. I would definitely love them to expand more upon monsters being in the MCU for sure. I would like to see some of these monsters. I mean, obviously we're gonna get vampires. I mean, if they do like Wendigo and Sasquatch and shit, that would be hilarious too. Just to see that. Especially because if we're getting characters like Blade and like Elsa Bloodstone who are monster hunters and vampire hunters, I would like to see more of those monsters showing up to expand that side of the Marvel universe. Yeah, I think it'd be fun. Give me some good monster shit in here. Why not? Matt, any thoughts on monsters being in the MCU?
No. I don't understand. No, I don't.
Is that Taylor in the back?
There are monsters in the MCU, but like there always have been monsters in the MCU. Like the Hulk's a monster. I don't get this. No, I don't have my thoughts.
Hi, Taylor.
Yeah, Hulk.
Hello, Taylor. Hi. All right. So last thing I'm gonna say here is just your theories. Midnight Sun stuff. I mean, I'm just that's all I'm gonna say is just like this. I would like to see Moon Knight, Werewolf by Night, and Man-Thing on the Midnight Suns. That would be really cool. Also Moon Knight, because Moon Knight is a supernatural character after all. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I would say Elsa Bloodstone. I'm just thinking like every supernatural character that shows up in the MCU is just like going to be on the Midnight Suns. But like, yeah,
well, she's been on the Midnight Suns in the comics. I think.
Yeah, right. Hello, Kayla. Hello. Has she?
Yeah. I think Werewolf, Man-Thing, Moon Knight, Elsa, Blade, maybe a Ghost Rider if we want to do Ghost Rider, but who cares? That'll be a great Midnight Suns.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I said this before. I would love to just have a what's it called? That team that Greg Smallwood did, where it's like Moon Knight, Werewolf, Moon Knight, Punisher, Blade, Doctor Strange, Hellstrom, Ghost Rider, Johnny Blaze, and Hannibal King. But I mean, that's just me. But yeah, I mean, listen, we're getting closer, people. Listen, Young Avengers. I was right about Thunderbolts, so that's okay.
Mikey, no one was doubting you on that.
Yeah, no one was. I mean, Matt was. Matt definitely was. I know he was for sure.
That's not how I phrase it.
And Midnight Suns. I mean, or a team adjacent to Midnight Suns. That'd be really cool. But yeah, that's all I gotta really say on that. So just final thoughts. Just going into it. So anything we want to say just on final thoughts on Werewolf by Night as a whole?
It was good. It's only 50 minutes.
Yeah.
This podcast is longer than it, so you might as well watch it.
Yeah, true. I agree. I wouldn't say it's my favorite Phase 4 project yet, but top 3.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, I would say this thing as well. It's not. It's one of my favorites. I'm looking forward to seeing all these characters going forward in the MCU whenever we do see them. I don't know how long we're going to see them for. But also Michael Giacchino did a really good job as his first directorial debut. Killed it. I was very impressed, and I'm looking forward to seeing more projects of his in the future as a director. And yeah, man, it's just I love this. I like this a lot more than what we've gotten in Phase 4 because it's just different. Like it's something different. It's something that is that has some style to it. And I want more MCU projects to just go crazy, take risks, take creative risks like this. Who gives a shit? Like, people are gonna watch your shit anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, like that's all I gotta say. So what would you rate Werewolf by Night out of 10 people?
Out of 10 people?
Out of 10, Matt.
I'd give it like 7.5, probably.
7.5. All right, Matt. What would you give Werewolf by Night? Even though you're biased and because Man-Thing's in it, you'd give it a 12. But like, it's just yeah.
Yeah, I would give it a super very good out of 10. I liked it a lot.
A number, Matt.
8. 8.
Okay.
8.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, I would also give it a 7.5 or an 8 for sure. I really enjoyed it and had a lot of fun watching it. But yeah, that's basically it, people. It's somewhat short adjacent in terms of our standards. But yeah, thanks Matt, Rebecca, for joining me on this. This was fun. I know Matt was. I know I wanted Matt on here because I know he would love to get his. He's been waiting to talk about Man Thing since we did that Marvel podcast like 2 years ago.
When else is he gonna get to talk about Man Thing?
Yeah, Matt, just taking it now. You're never doing it again. I promise you. Not until next like 10 years, maybe.
No, I know.
But yeah, and also thanks to the people that are watching this or will watch this. We appreciate it as always. Be on the lookout for more content. Hey, Rebecca wanted to do Transformers. We got Transformers on there. I think episode 3 is out, and we're going to do episode 4 next week, right, Rebecca?
Next week?
Gotcha. Also, if you like,
from now.
Gotcha. Oh shit, cat. Also, if you want to check out our other latest new series where we talk about the lovely sex criminals book that Matt is hosting, which has been, again, I've said this before, it's one of the funniest podcasts I think we've ever done because it's just ridiculous.
Thank you.
Yeah, episode 1 and the clips are out for that. Also be on the lookout towards the end of the month. We're gonna do a one and done spooky special. We're gonna do a more a horror book in spirit of Halloween. So be on the lookout for that as well. And yeah, people, we appreciate the support. Also, we have a bell. I always remember we have a bell. Ping the bell so that you know when all these videos are coming out, so that you know we're on top of everything. We appreciate it. Also share our videos so people can check out our stuff because we like talking about comics. If you like comics, we want other people that like comics to watch our shit. That'd be really appreciated. Also, Rex, should we tease some potential interviews maybe that even
don't tease anything until we got something concrete.
We're back to that. We have nothing. So so that's basically all that for that. And yeah, as well as always, people, appreciate the support and get home safe. See you next time.